Where do you stand with Sam Darnold right now? Just, I don't want to say like personal relationship, but how do you think you and Sam Darnold have grown this year, and what have you seen out of Sam?
Yeah, I think Sam's done so many great things. Year one in the system, kind of taking him from where he was at in his career. This guy started a lot of games and coming into this offense and really just having him focus on the day-to-day and the minute-to-minute. And Sam's really talented. He's pushed the ball all over the field. We've been pretty darn explosive with him at the helm. Clearly there's been some times where we've had, maybe been too aggressive and had some decisions backfire from a standpoint of turnovers, but not without having some real moments of growth. And I thought he played one of his best games of the season against, a really good Tennessee defense last week. One of the best fronts in football. Those interior guys are no joke, good edge players. On the road, just kind of running the show, resolving conflict, taking plays when they were there, just spitting a bunch of completions out there to some pretty darn good players on the perimeter. And I think it was big-time growth for Sam, and now it's just about stacking it. He's had some real stretches of high-level football, and how consistent can I be coaching him is the most important thing, because I know I'm going to get the best out of Sam here down the stretch.
I hear you, Kevin O'Connell. Talk about praising your quarterback and giving him some confidence. This is Sports Guy talking that you guys are watching and listening to. I am Dustin Tran, your host, as I am here today to talk about Kevin O'Connell praising Sam Darnold for turning his NFL career around. Kevin O'Connell went on the Pat McAfee Show in order to give Sam Darnold some praise. The Vikings right now are currently 8-2 and are competing to be one of the best teams in the NFC. Before I say anything else, though, I want to present you guys with a topic question. So here it is. Will the Vikings make a deep playoff run with Sam Darnold as their starting quarterback? I'm going to say no to that question. This is not me doubting on Sam Darnold. This is me just being a little realistic about where the Minnesota Vikings are right now as a football team. I mean, there are games where Sam Darnold is winning when he's turning over the ball 2 or 3 times a ball game. You look how the Minnesota Vikings are 8-2 right now because of their elite defense. Credit to Brian Flores, where credit is due. He is the real mastermind of why the Minnesota Vikings defense has been so good. A lot of people wondered why the Minnesota Vikings defense is so good. Quite frankly, it's because they're not on the field very much. You look at how the Minnesota Vikings, they like to play ball control on offense. They like to feed the ball to Aaron Jones. They like to run the ball. They like to hold on to the ball as long as they can. They try to hide Sam Darnold as long as they can. And then they also try to get Justin Jefferson the ball on offense, which helps the clock keep moving. You look at how the Minnesota Vikings, they do a great job forcing 3 and outs to get pressure on opposing quarterbacks. You look at how Brian Flores blitzes more than any other defensive coordinator in the National Football League. And obviously, a lot of quarterbacks are going to struggle against the blitz. The Minnesota Vikings time their blitzes very well, which means opposing quarterbacks are going to struggle, particularly if you are a quarterback that doesn't move around the pocket very well. That's why they're able to win a lot of football games. The reason why I still have doubts about the Minnesota Vikings having a deep playoff run this year, though, is because we all know that come playoff time, you're going to have to put up 20 or 30 points a game in order to win come playoff time. This is a quarterback-driven league, and Sam Darnold is not a good enough quarterback come playoff time. He's solid this year, I'll give him that. He's Jimmy G level good, but at the end of the day, though, you need your quarterback to be great in the playoffs. The good news for the Vikings is that they play in a weak NFC. You look at how there's not really a lot of Super Bowl contenders in the NFC. The only strong contender in that conference right now is the Detroit Lions. That team looks like a super team right now in the NFC North. You look at how Jared Goff has been playing phenomenal for the Detroit Lions outside the 5-interception game against the Houston Texans. Jared Goff has looked like an MVP candidate in pretty much every game this year. You also look at how they got 2 excellent running backs in David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, and of course they've got 2 amazing wide receivers in Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams. They also got a solid tight end in Sam Laporta as well. You can't forget about the offensive line being elite as well. And how about the play calling of Ben Johnson for the Detroit Lions? The dude has managed to make the Detroit Lions offense look like a mastermind offense in the National Football League. Of course, the head coaching job of Dan Campbell has been phenomenal for the Detroit Lions as well. You look at how the Detroit Lions are the standard to be in the NFC right now. And the Minnesota Vikings right now are not too far away from it. You look at how they nearly beat the Detroit Lions earlier in the year. They probably win that game if Sam Darnold doesn't turn over the football early in that ball game. That's what got them behind in the first place. But that's the formula for the Vikings. They understand that Sam Darnold is a limited quarterback, so they say to themselves, you know what we got to do? We got to get a lead early in the game. We got to feed Aaron Jones the football. Yeah, he might not bust out a lot of explosive runs, but if he can keep churning out 4 to 5 yard gains, that's going to be just as effective as well. And we're going to get the ball to Justin Jefferson, who is one of the best wide receivers in the National Football League, and we're going to ride off with a really good defense. That's essentially the formula the Minnesota Vikings have used the entire season. Of course, Stephen A. Smith was also unfamiliar with how the Minnesota Vikings could become a surprise team in the NFL this year. You look at how he clownishly doubted them earlier on in the season. Roll the film.
At some point in time, your resume has to matter. Now, we saw him complete 14 of his 15 passes from a clean pocket last week. We get all of that. That's against the New York Giants. Let's see how he's going to look this Sunday when Nick Bosa and the crew are coming his way. Okay, so Don't expect the same results because it ain't going to happen. So let's get that out the way first. Secondly, yeah, I get your point about Justin Jefferson and him having him as a weapon there, and I get that part. But I got to see it to believe it. He's been in the league for 7 years, and what you describe him as being, I haven't seen much of from him when he's been in the lineup. So I damn sure am not going to assume we're going to see that from him now.
He played on terrible teams in terrible situations.
All right. There is such a thing. You know what, Dan? If you're around some people with a cold enough, you're going to get one. If you're around some people with a damn virus, you're going to get it. You're going to catch it. You know what I'm saying?
What if you
contamination. You ever heard of that word? You ever heard of that word, Dan? It's actually in the dictionary, right? Do I need to spell it for you? It happens. When you get around certain situations, ultimately you become a byproduct of that. That's what I am saying of Sam Darnold. I'm telling you, you're very hopeful, and I can appreciate that. But you sitting up there talking to us like we're supposed to expect a high level of production from this brother. I'm not doing that. I got to see it to believe it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that was obviously a clown take made by Stephen A. Smith. Sam Darnold has been playing pretty good since Stephen A. Smith made that statement. And you look at how the Minnesota Vikings have been able to replicate the formula that they've been trying to use almost every single game. Get a lead early, and let's rely on that great defense and run game. We understand Aaron Jones might not have a lot of highlight-worthy runs, but let's try to get Aaron Jones 15 to 20 carries a game. Let's just try to keep the clock moving, keep getting first downs, and keep finding ways to get playmakers the football in their hands. I liked a lot of what Kevin O'Connell had to say on the Pat McAfee Show because I thought his approach to dealing with Sam Darnold was very reasonable. I thought what he said was very logically sound. He understands that Sam Darnold might be a turnover machine, so let's not throw the ball 35, 40 times a game. You look at how Sam Darnold, he's only throwing the ball 25 to 30 times a game. Let's try to keep the pass attempts down, but then when we do throw the ball, we're going to use his arm strength to his advantage by throwing the deep ball to Justin Jefferson, who is one of the best wide receivers in football, and Kevin O'Connell understood that early on. That's why the Vikings have been trailing less than any other team in the National Football League. The Vikings are a team that is going to go as far as their quarterback play will allow them because we know their defensive run game will show up. The question is, though, can Sam Darnold show up come playoff time? Sam Darnold is a solid quarterback, but he's not a great quarterback, and typically in the NFL playoffs, you need great quarterback play in order to win come playoff time. I'm not sure Sam Darnold can provide the Minnesota Vikings that, and Sam Darnold is only going to take you so far come playoff time. We'll see what happens, though. I'm going to say the Vikings will win one playoff game this year, but that's it for the Vikings. I'm not seeing the Vikings making a deeper playoff run than that, but that would still be a successful season for the Vikings anyways, though. This was supposed to be a rebuild year, and the fact the Minnesota Vikings are 8-2 right now, it's really impressive. Credit to Kevin O'Connell for getting the most out of Sam Darnold. That's why I like Kevin O'Connell a lot as a head coach. Now, I like the fact that he praised his quarterback publicly. If I'm Sam Darnold right now, I'm feeling a major boost of confidence from my head coach right now, knowing that my head coach has got my back when the going gets tough. It's really appreciative to see head coaches build up their quarterbacks, not tear them apart. So that is why the Vikings will not make a deep playoff run with Sam Darnold as their starting quarterback, even though I got the Vikings winning a playoff game this season. Remember, go ahead and subscribe to Sports Guy Talking, like the video, and please comment down below. If you guys do that, I'm going to shout you guys out in my Instagram story every Monday. That will be for the Addison Instagram account. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at Tran, and that's Sports Guy Talking. Also, go follow me on Twitter at Tran. Again, go ahead and do those things that I just told you guys to go do. hopefully you guys enjoyed the content that was just produced. Peace out. I hope you enjoyed that video. Want more Sports Guy Talking, the home of great sports content? Make sure you click that subscribe button to get the latest from Sports Guy Talking. Go ahead and like the video, comment down below, check the description box on the video in order to follow my Instagram and Twitter. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from the YouTube channel, Sports Guy Talking.